From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Naira Ahmed. Parks Canada says the Jasper, Alberta wildfire is now being classified as being held. The wildfire forced 25,000 people to flee last month and destroyed one-third of the town site's buildings. Now, on day 27 of the blaze, it is no longer classified as out of control. The agency says it is now safe to resume normal activities in the town, although the national park remains closed. Meanwhile, a wildfire expert says it could take more than a century for the freshly burned forest in Jasper National Park to regenerate into its previous postcard-perfect form. University of Alberta Associate Professor Jen Beverly says the dense forest regrowth could be affected by how deep the fire is burned into the ground.
Those ecosystems are going to recover, and that could be, quite interesting to watch in the years ahead as those areas revegetate and we see what comes back and how it looks, over the next 10, 20, 50 years.
Thousands of wildfire evacuees entered their homes in Jasper yesterday after they had to flee the raging flames more than 3 weeks ago. The Canadian Hurricane Centre says Hurricane Ernesto is expected to bring heavy surf to coastal communities in Nova Scotia starting late today. The wide and slow-moving Category 1 storm passed directly over Bermuda early this morning, leaving more than three-quarters of the area without power. It is forecast to reach an area southeast of the Maritimes by Monday. Canada's newest senators are a former broadcaster and a hospital executive.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced the appointments today of veteran broadcaster Charles Adler and Tracy Mugley, who's currently the executive director of St. Paul's Hospital in Saskatoon. Both were appointed by Governor-General Mary Simon after being recommended by an independent advisory board. A news release from the Prime Minister's office says Adler used his platform in broadcasting to champion human rights and Canadian democracy, while Mugley's described as a registered social worker and a former provincial public servant in the health and social services sectors. Both of them will sit as independents. Jason White, The Canadian Press.
Abroad, an Israeli airstrike has killed 18 members of a family in Gaza. The strike came hours after officials from the United States, Egypt, and Qatar wrapped up 2 days of ceasefire talks and expressed optimism that a deal can be reached. Gaza's health ministry says over 40,000 Palestinians have now been killed in the latest war between Israel and Hamas. And cleanup is now underway in Montreal after a water main break flooded streets and homes on Friday. The major water main that broke near the Jacques Cartier Bridge flooded dozens of buildings and left around 150,000 homes under a boil water advisory. A city spokesman says it would be at least a month before the break can be repaired, in part because the city doesn't have all the necessary parts and equipment on hand. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, the Toronto Blue Jays take on the Cubs in Chicago. The Jays are looking to rebound after dropping a 6-5 decision to the Cubs in 10 innings yesterday. In CFL action, the Edmonton Elks are chasing a 3-game win streak as they get set to battle the Tiger Cats in Hamilton tonight. The Elks have wins in their last 2 outings but haven't collected 3 victories in a row since 2018. Both Edmonton and Hamilton come into the game with 2-7 records. Veteran Rough Riders kicker Brett Lawther is taking responsibility for Saskatchewan's 27-24 loss to the Montreal Alouettes. He missed 4 field goal attempts across the game, including one that was returned for a touchdown early in the fourth quarter. And NFL preseason play continues today with 13 games on the schedule. First up, the Falcons are in Baltimore to take on the Ravens, and later the Lions will be in Kansas City to face the Super Bowl champion Chiefs. The nightcap features the Cowboys tussling with the Raiders in Vegas. From the Canadian Press, I'm Naira Ahmed.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.